Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports Worldwide on the iHeartRadio Network. We thank you for listening to the $1 Million Show every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we are worldwide. Today is beautiful July 22nd, 2016. And I want to say thank you to so many people, especially with iHeartRadio, that has made it even possible for us to come onto your platform. Over 250 million people listening to the dynamic duo with Charlton and Big C. I also want to say thank you to you Latin American listeners. You follow us on Twitter, and also now iHeartRadio, one of the best platforms in the world when it comes to broadcasting. And from what I'm hearing, we are one of the hottest sports shows in the United States, and I thank you so much, Big C, for what you bring on. So again, bienvenidos to you Latin American listeners, as well as London, England, Berlin, Germany, the great country of Canada, and of course down in Australia where you good old boys listen in. Can't leave out Africa or Dubai. So Big C, you know the United States is a great place to live. Donald Trump had his speech last night, and he's saying he's going to make America safe again. And I'm wondering, isn't this the same guy that said if you beat the hell out of somebody, he'll pay your legal costs? So how's he going to make it safe, and who is he talking to, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Donald Trump has advocated violence, Charlton, for a long time. And when you talk about home of the free, land of the brave, you're not talking about advocating violence against anybody. And we have too much of that in American society.
Yeah.
He's almost preaching what's going on the streets, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he seems to be an advocate of that. And this is not what you want as the United States leader and a world leader in that type of position, putting people in peril, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, he's misspoken on many occasions. But, you know, eventually even a fool will realize that a fool is making a mistake.
Well, maybe not, Big C, because I admire what Ronald Reagan did, how he brought the party together, whether you're Democrat or Republican. A lot of people liked him because he had something called class. I never heard Ronald Reagan tell other Americans to beat the hell out of other Americans, and he would pay their legal costs, and I never heard President Obama say that. So no matter who you're voting for, we got the whole world looking to America as leaders. And could you imagine if anyone stood up and told some of their fellow countrymen, beat the hell out of people and you'll pay their legal bills? Well, what if some knuckleheads take you to heart and they actually pull out machine guns? Because that's what's happened to these law enforcement officers. And I wonder if he spoke to those families about the violence that he actually incited by saying go out and do that. And I know this is a sports show, but it's about sports and politics and entertainment. So just no matter who you vote for, do you really want to be in the crowd where someone can beat the hell out of you with his endorsement and he's going to pay their legal bills? I just don't think that's the right message to send, Big C. And I hope that someone, not just Charlton and Big C, will say something about it. Your thoughts on that, Big C?
Well, Charlton, first of all, I want to say thank you to our female listening audience. They're such a huge part of what we do, and I appreciate them every day that they tune in and listen to what we have to say, because we're also an advocate for women.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big part of our show. You know, we're not about just this male genre.
Yeah.
We're about females' thoughts and health and safety on our show.
Yes.
And I appreciate them following us every day, and we can always count on them, and they can count on us being a voice over the airwaves when these other sports outlets skirt around the issues with them and the violence that they go through on a daily basis, Charles.
Yeah, and I think that's so important too, because all of us, you know, when you have the responsibility, now not everybody's going to like what we say, Big C. That's just the reality. People can like what they like.
Charlton, I love everything you say. I might not agree with it, but I love everything you say.
So you love the fact that I'm saying that USC is going to go beat up on the good old boys down at Alabama. Big C, I appreciate you backing me on that.
You know, you can't start drinking before happy hour, okay?
Okay, I understand.
You got to wait till happy hour to start drinking, all right?
I understand that, Big C. So when it comes to that, I just want everyone to understand, you go out and vote, no matter whether you're Democrat or Republican. On the Charlton and Big C Sports Show, it's also about social consciousness. It's not just about who won the game last night. Ironically, I was watching a little bit of Fox Sports. On Fox Sports 1, you have Colin Cowherd, and there's another gentleman on there that wears a hat, African-American guy. And Jason Whitlock. And I love their work, but I'm telling you, they were saying the same things that we've been talking about for the last month, Big C. When it comes to this social outreach, don't just have black Americans stand up and say that people need to support their kids or support the neighborhoods or cut down on violence, because we know it happens in all of our society. When are the white athletes going to be held accountable? And I'm about having teammates who are black and white. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you're going to stand up for what's right, it should take everyone, not just black men, because we're the most ostracized, the last hired, the first fired when it comes to corporate America. Why are we the only ones, Big C, that are expected to talk about social justice or injustice, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, the accountability that they want to put on a black athlete, that you're now responsible for an entire community and a race, it is injustice, Charlton. You can only do so much. I mean, and when we look at the number of Anglo athletes, and we've talked about it over and over.
Yeah.
We don't see anybody in the hockey field. We don't see anybody in the golf field. We don't see anybody in the tennis field being called upon, Charlton, to say, hey, you have to be a community and social activist. You got to speak out against the injustices and the racial bias in America.
Yeah.
These are the things we look at. I look at the NBA All-Star game, Charlton, that was just yanked from Charlotte.
Yeah.
Over giving to a state legislative bill on gender.
Yeah.
Now, this is the NBA taking a stance, okay? But how far will this stance go? Adam Silver's done some marvelous things. Now, is the NFL going to step up with Jerry Richards?
Wow.
The owner of the Panthers?
He owns the Panthers. You're right.
We're going to have to move this team out of Carolina because of this deal. Now, you got to realize there's more people go to a Carolina Panther football game than there is an All-Star game that goes on in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So, is this just going to be a one-sided deal, Charlton? And is the NFL going to stay out of this? Is the NFL not going to pull up? Because if Roger Goodell pulls up, people have to listen.
People follow him. He talks. He's like E.F. Hutton.
He's like E.F. Hutton. If Roger Goodell speaks, people listen, Charlton.
Yeah, and that's why, and I also want to say this, that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go down and test drive it, you can only get it there brand new, but make sure you tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And if you've ever seen the beautiful Cadillac Escalade, it is purely luxury and power all ingrained in one. But Big C, I brought up this point because I was talking to some people about what happened. And of course, our condolences go out to Dennis Green and his family, 67 years old, that's just too young. One of the great head coaches of the NFL, coached the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals, as well as the Sacramento Mountain Lions. And so, little sad. He also lived a happy life too. So while we're happy for what he's accomplished in life, we're sad that of his passing. Just your thoughts on Dennis Green, Big C.
Well, Dennis Green, Charlton started at one of the hardest institutions to coach at, Northwestern, where he got his break as a head coach in college football.
Yeah.
He moved on to another academic institution, Stanford.
Yeah.
Charlton, and so when you think about the young men that he had an opportunity to work with, it wasn't just about athletics, it was about academics.
Yeah.
Dennis Green graduated players while he was in college. Then he moved on to Bill Walsh's staff at Stanford, where he was, at the 49ers.
Yeah.
Where he was a receivers coach, and he got his break in the NFL. And you got to remember, in 1992, they set a points record in the NFL on scoring.
Yeah.
They were one field goal short of going to the Super Bowl with a 15-1 record. I mean, and he revitalized Randall Cunningham's career.
Yeah.
Made him comeback player of the year in the NFL, where he also should have been the MVP. He drafted Randy Moss, took a chance on Randy Moss, one of the all-time greatest receivers in NFL history. Not only that, he pulled Chris Carter off the scrap heap after Buddy Ryan had cut him with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
He has some great players, and if you look at his roster, Charlton, and look at the number of Hall of Famers he had, such as the John Randall on defense, the Joey Browner on defense, Randy Moss is going to be, and Chris Carter is going to be there. This is a coach that was a player's coach.
Yeah.
People revered him. You didn't hear anything negative about Dennis Green. Everyone wants to talk about the rant that he did after a Monday night game against the 86 Bears, which every coach did anyway.
Yeah.
But they played that up too much.
Yeah.
That was not Dennis Green. He was frustrated because he had a team on the hook and let them off.
Yeah.
But Dennis Green was a great individual. He was one of the few African-American head coaches who was allowed to coach in the NFL. And you think about this, Charlton. In 10 years with the Minnesota Vikings, he went to the playoffs 8 times, and he still got fired.
And that is incredible. And like you mentioned, the 99 season when I think it was Anderson, when they missed the field goal, they went down to Miami. They were going to go down to Miami, but Atlanta beat them and went on and played Denver and in the Super Bowl. But that's something that you think about, too, because we talk about Charlton and Big C Sports. And I want to say this because I love this. I mean, I absolutely love the sports business because I love the business side as well as the games, Big C. And what I'm speaking to everyone who's ever felt like you've been ostracized from a society or from employment. And I'm speaking especially to young kids of color because that's what I am and always have been. I've never felt like I couldn't do anything that anybody else was doing. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Quit lying to the audience. You're not a young kid.
Okay. I feel like a young.
It used to be a young kid.
Well, I feel like a young man, but this is so important because I heard Colin Coward and Jason Whitlock saying what we've been saying the last couple of days, and they have the ESPN platform. It's amazing we're saying it first on Charlton and Big C Sports, but we're all in the same fraternity. But this is so powerful to me, and it's touching because as an African-American male, I grew up around athletics and entertainment in the church. But most of the top athletes that I've seen on any platform, whether it's high school, college, or pro, they've been African-American. Football, basketball, baseball, track and field, boxing. And when it comes to getting a job, that's when there's a void of opportunity. A huge disparity. And if you're a black man and you're afraid, if you're shaking in your boots by saying that somebody's discriminating, then you're part of the perpetuation of that. Whether it's discriminated against women or if someone's, no matter what gender. I'm proud of Adam Silver for standing up and saying the NBA is not going to participate in bigotry. I'm proud of that because he's not black. So that gives everyone in the past, you don't have to be black to stand up for equality. You can be white. So you can also say this, if our whole society will treat people the way we all want to be treated, Big C, there'd be 1,000 Charlton and Big C Sports out there. There'd be 1,000 broadcasters out there. So I'm saying to any young person of color or woman, and white guys too, but you know the doors are open, it's more wide open for white men. That's a fact. Create your own thing. Big C, I'm so proud of what you've done and what you've brought to the program. Create your own thing. I love competition. So we want to compete against ESPN. We want to compete against Fox Sports. And as you listen to what we say worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network, I'm competitive. I want you to see where you heard the information first. Big C's not using $1 million producer. He's not using $1 million equipment. All Big C has is moonshine and his memories, Big C, and he does a great job. So what are your thoughts on that, Big C?
Well, we're talking, and it's also that stuff like roll out behind my barn and stuff.
Collard greens. Collard greens? Okay.
You know, all that mean greens, Charlton.
Okay.
You know, when we look at where professional sport leagues are, and you know, with the NFL training camp starting up next week, full tilt.
Yeah.
You already have players, Charlton, that are being targeted for failed drug tests.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I've always questioned this, and I wonder, we have 3 states, Charlton, where marijuana's legal, don't we?
Yeah.
In the U.S.? Yeah. We got Colorado, we got Seattle,
we got Oregon and Washington. California. Yeah.
And each one of those states have professional NFL teams.
Yeah.
And so can a player fail a drug test in one of those states? I'm always curious about that because I haven't heard one yet. But, you know, when we look back, and we've continuously talked about this, Charlton, it's okay for the NFL to inject a player with opiates, either through pills or a needle.
Yeah.
And they feel okay with that. That's fine. But that's one of the leading causes of CTE, not just the brain trauma of pounding, Charlton, but the deterioration, I mean, like any heroin addict.
Yeah.
Okay? We've seen everybody in America, the results of a heroin addict on the street, a crack addict on the street. Everybody's seen that on the night news, Charlton.
Definitely.
And this is what professional sports has created for years. They have willingly inject players with opiates and saying that it's non-addictive, non-habit form. But yet the average layman on the street who is using opiates, Charlton, is being arrested, going to jail or put in rehab. But the NFL has freely done it to players. When I played professional ball, I took opiates. You know, there was at one point, Charlton, I was on 12 Demerol a day and playing football.
Yeah.
You know, functioning. Because my tolerance level had gotten so high, and so I needed to increase what I was ingesting for the pain.
Yeah.
And so when the NFL freely gives players narcotics, and we're talking about narcotics, this is something you cannot walk in and buy over the counter, so it's an illegal controlled substance.
Yeah.
But the NFL and basketball and baseball has freely given it to their players over the years. So when a player does not want to take these opiates any longer and wants to go to a more natural herb in marijuana, the NFL is saying no.
Yeah.
Because if you're using marijuana, then the pharmaceutical companies that we're in partnership with are going to lose money.
Well, Big C, I think you made a very valid point. And when it comes to money, this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What could a buck do for you? I'm telling you, Big C. I know I've been itching and scratching ever since I laid down in that dog's bed not too long ago with my friends down south. But they tell me that means you're going to come into a lot of money. I think that Powerball is about $320 million won by Charlton and Big C Sports. So I've confessed it, I've claimed it, and we've won it, Big C. How much moonshine can we buy with $300 million, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, I could hire somebody to make my own mix at that point. I don't have to be out there with
you don't have to make it yourself.
Down there top of line any longer. I can sit on my front porch on my swing and allow somebody to bring it to me in a cool down mix. But you know, when we look at sports,
that's funny.
The game of sports, and with the NFL season starting, Charlton, and the college football season starting, you know, we're at the trade deadline coming up in baseball over the next 2 weeks, so we're going to see a lot of movement there.
Yeah.
But when we look at sports and what sports can do in society, people for years have said, you don't embrace politics and sports together. But Charlton,
you do.
It's synonymous. They're one and the same. The true financial page in the limited number of newspapers that people look at nowadays is the sports page, because it's about money every day, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's about money. And so, you know, I look at what Adam Silver has just done in moving.
I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him.
And they're saying it's going to cost Charlotte area some $100 million.
It should. It should.
Because the NBA All-Star game is not going to be there. So if we want to enact the social impact, now it's at the forefront of the league, not the players. The players couldn't move the All-Star game. Now that's what we've talked about, Charlotte.
Yeah.
The players boycotting. Which this is the same type of thing, that we're not going to play this. And so I praised Commissioner Adam Silver of the NBA, and now I call upon the rest of the commissioners in baseball, hockey, football, because think about it. Carolina has the Hurricanes, an NHL hockey team. We have the NFL Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
So how much social activism will these owners be, Charlton? Stop saying the players have to do it, because the ESPYs was over a week ago, and we haven't heard anything since.
No.
Okay?
You see,
we haven't heard anything since the ESPYs, so we can throw that out. They had one night on television. Now these players can call a press conference anytime they want.
Yeah.
And these guys that call media will show up like pup dogs that you put in puppy chow out.
Yeah, I understand. Okay? I understand puppy chow, Big C. And actually, you can buy puppy chow by listening to Charlton and Big C Sports worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network, a 250 million people platform. And I want to thank them very much for allowing the Charlton and Big C Sports Show to be on here every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. And Big C, I also want to bring up this point that I think is so exciting to be a part of what we do. I absolutely I've been told, if you do what you love, you never work another day in your life. And I know you worked with broadcasters over the years. They love it. I love this business. But I refuse to be a sycophant. I refuse to just sit up here and read the scores. And because I was raised by some intelligent people who taught me how to read. And I know sometimes you only get the truth by going to a few people, because most people, they kind of follow along with the mainstream. And I like the way that we go against the current, because it's real talk. And I think sometimes I used to think you were angry, but I realized you just didn't have your moonshine delivered on time, Big C. But once you got that, you calmed down. But something I wanted to...
I'm as smooth as the other side of the pillow, man.
Well, could you imagine if sometimes people say, well, man, you guys have a good show, but why do you always talk about money and politics and sports? Because we're not dumb. Because the average young black boy, and I'm not just going too far on the limb saying this, they don't expect you to be intellectually enlightened. They don't expect you to be erudite. They don't expect you to be well-read. They want you to be big, strong, and fast. In fact, I remember meeting a couple of good old boys back in the day, and being good sized, most of them said, wow, do you play football? And I'm in college. Well, I was there to study academics and media and television. In fact, I was one of the first people on the air at my university, Sacramento State. But at the same time, most of my white classmates, they went on and got jobs right away. I got my internship too. And as well spoken as I am, couldn't get a job. Most of the stations that I went to, whether the local affiliates, they were all white, like 99% of them. And in my heart, I felt like, how can I change that? Because I know other kids feel the same way that I felt. And like you say, Big C, go start your own thing. So Charlton and Big C Sports is not just about reading you the sports. We know the San Francisco Giants are playing the New York Yankees. But that's great. what job do you have if you're a young black man in that business if you're not in a uniform? And I'm going to advocate for people because my son looks just like me. He's going to be big and tall, and everyone's asking him right now, do you play sports? And he's an honor roll kid. So I want people to read. I want that to be my legacy. Charlton and Big C Sports, we encourage people to read. Who cares what the score is if you don't know what's happening in your legislature? Who cares what the score is if you don't know that schools are being underfunded? And who cares what the score is if you're broke after you played 5 years as a pro, Big C? Your thoughts on why social responsibility now is being copied by ESPN, the sports leader, Big C?
Well, Charlton, I look at it. The NFL draft was what, back in April?
Yeah.
And we haven't heard anything about any of the players in the NFL draft finishing up college, getting their college degree.
No, it's not important.
Continuing their education. That has not been one story on Fox or ESPN, but yet we're hearing about players getting in trouble. That is a continuum. And they say that we should not mix politics and sports.
You have to.
ESPN and Fox mixes sports and the police blogger.
Yeah, all the time.
That's the number one thing on their mind. They just want to come up with the negativity on an athlete instead of talking about the athletes who do good things in society, who have foundations, who are helping children, who have free camps. That's not an interesting point to the worldwide leaders in sports.
Yeah.
They want to talk about a player failing a drug test.
Yep.
Okay? He failed a drug test and he's out of the league.
Yeah.
Once they make it to that point, but Charlton, they have to find a way to make marijuana legal. If you can make opiates legal to players, and it's okay for them to take those, ingest them, take a needle with them, why cannot marijuana be legal to the players? And as I say, the pharmaceutical companies, Charlton, we're talking political, control the opiates.
Yeah.
And the league is in partnership with them, and the league is paid by these pharmaceutical companies to utilize their products. Just like a lobbyist in Congress in Washington, D.C., he's paid to secure a vote, Charlton.
Yeah, well, see, Big C, that's so powerful. And again, this goes back to the Muhammad Ali consciousness. And I'm encouraging all my broadcast brethren, male and female, to have a Muhammad Ali consciousness. Whether you're black or white, Hispanic, doesn't matter to me. I think people are people. But this Muhammad Ali consciousness means we're not going to be a sycophants. You're going to sound more like a Howard Cosell when you have the microphone because you can influence some people. That's why I'm so proud of what Adam Silver did. If you discriminate against any group in America and you approve of it, then how would you feel if you were discriminated against? And as an African American, I know what it feels like to be disrespected. I know what it's like to feel discrimination from my parents, my grandparents, myself, and my children. I would be a sycophant if I didn't say anything about it. You see, I'm not going to do that. And so that's what I love about the Charlton and Big C Sports program. And I think that's one of the reasons that iHeartRadio brought us onto their platform and placed us right next to Fox Sports at the prime PM, 5 o'clock p.m. time. You don't just get that by being a sycophant. So that's why I'm telling everyone in the broadcast medium, I hope that we can all have a Ali consciousness, which is don't just read the score. And Big C, I want to say this because it's important. This segment is sponsored by United Labor Insurance. I'm a broker with United Labor. We bring insurance to all the unions, $100,000 guaranteed life insurance with no medical questions. We are also endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society, and I'm looking for 1,000 brokers nationwide to help provide life insurance guaranteed issue to all of the unions in the United States of America. That's who Charlton and Big C Sports is. Also by Goosehead Property and Casualty. We beat about 98% of the people in the country when it comes to a quote. Tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports and follow us on Facebook. You can find out more about that. So Big C, when you talk to me about things, I want you to think that I don't just let it go in one ear and out the other, because you're a little bit more old school than I am, and you also live down there in those Jim Crow states. But I'm so proud of you that you're not like the average person I see on TV that's a sycophant. I'll bring up Jim Nantz and Big C. Jim Nantz is at the Masters, a place like no other, or a tradition like no other. It's so discriminatory. Now you watch what Adam Silver did with discrimination in Carolina. Jim Nantz and all the good old boys that do the Masters, and I love the Masters, but it's a bigoted golf course. They exclude women and minorities, okay, people of color. But no one has the balls to stand up the way Adam Silver did and say discrimination is not tolerated. Big C, your thoughts on that?
Well, that would be an iconic move in America if CBS or any other broadcast network, or ESPN covers it for 2 days, CBS covers it for 2 days, they split it. If they just said, we're not going to cover this because of the racial divide and injustice that has always been in Augusta, Georgia. But, they embrace it, Charlton.
They embrace it.
And they say it's okay. Now, everybody loves the Masters.
Yeah.
It is a marvelous golf.
I love it too.
The backdrop there is second to none in the world.
Yeah.
But, to have been segregated for so long and still segregated to a degree,
Yeah.
that you don't allow open membership for females, Charlton, African Americans. You had to win, you had to qualify to get in. But, this is segregation in America at the highest level.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars by advertisers are paid to the Masters, Charlton, but they don't open the door for every American.
No, they yeah, you're right.
Silver, the rest of the sports world need to be paying homage to this man today and the rest of the year for the stance that he took in perpetuating equality in sports, Charlton.
I agree, Big C. That is so important because it always takes people in power. Now, since Muhammad Ali's passing, I've heard, and outside of Charlton and Big C Sports, so thank you for enlightening me, Big C, on why we should become more social and don't just be like the average sports reader looking at a teleprompter telling you that the Giants beat the Yankees 7-5 or the Mets beat the Orioles 6-4. Okay, that's great, but we're not dumb people. So if you're not dumb, then let people know you're not dumb. If you're philanthropic, let people know you're philanthropic. I want to bring this point up, Big C, because we have a powerful platform. iHeartRadio, they don't just invite anybody on. And I appreciate them from letting us come on. But I believe that because of our conscious outreach, Big C, we're not two dumb jocks talking on the radio. I believe that more and more people of power like Adam Silver, I believe that people in power like Phil Knight with Nike, I believe like someone like Roger Goodell, they'll start putting more money behind their conscious effort to help end discrimination, whether it's in the workforce or whether it's in the gender. People should not be discriminated against based on how they look, what they think, how they pray, etc. So if you don't talk about it, then people assume that you tacitly consent. And we don't tacitly consent to it. And that's why when Lyndon Baines Johnson passed the Voting Act, black Americans can vote. Kennedy had the same chance to do it, but he said no. And people praise Kennedy, they canonize him like he's a saint. But when he had a chance to help what Martin Luther King was trying to do, make the black vote possible, Kennedy said no, it's not the right time. Not the right time for who, Big C? So I applaud Adam Silver for having the stones and the backbone to just do what's right, and people will follow you when you make good decisions, and that's fair, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, he took the game away, Charlton. He told me to bring it back in 2019 if they change their stance. And that's what we're trying to get in America, is a change of stance, socially, economically, and sports-wise. This is where we need to be. At some point the discussions have to start with earnest, with some sincerity, Charlton. Sports is always going to be a catalyst for any conversation. You start talking about sports, Charlton, and you'll get 9 out of 10 people want to chime in on that conversation. So if this is what it takes, a commissioner of a league, to create social awareness in America, then you have to praise this man. Because we're not getting it fast enough. We're not getting enough of either side, socially, legally, economically. So it has to start somewhere, and if sports can do it, Charlton, let's let sports be the leader.
Well, Big C, I want to just compliment you on this because you were prescient enough to say that sports will bring people together faster than the church. Now, in the South, in Carolina, there are a lot of churches, even though they're mostly segregated. It took an act of a sports figure, and Adam Silver, who has his own power, to make a change that's going to have a financial impact that will cause a positive change. So that's why Adam Silver became like the average black American when he talked about LeBron James and Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony standing up and saying we have to end violence. You can't be afraid to stand up against evil or against bad. Now, if you think discriminating against any group is okay, then how would you feel if that group discriminated against happened to be you? Nobody likes that. And I also want to say this, Big C, that Charlton and Big C Sports, we get a lot of help with Becca Wright. She's called a business cubit, doing a lot of work in the background, bringing in some potential sponsors of Charlton and Big C Sports. So Becca, we thank you and appreciate your hard work with that. Also, I want to tell people that when it comes to entertainment, you can look at beneathhiswingsfoundation.org, make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast, and secure. And when it comes to promotions, contact Cynthia Evans of CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to promotions, she's the best in Northern California. And when you tweet out to her, let her know that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, Big C, I want to say this too because it's very important to me. And I think about Harry Edwards, who I have so much respect for, and I think about Muhammad Ali and what he stood for, and when you think about the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and how they were talking about a consciousness and a black consciousness, and I do believe in all my heart that Charlton and Big C Sports will be a household name by Christmas because we're not just dumb jocks. And I encourage other athletes, if you have any intellect about yourself, why not show that to people? You know, we can open more doors for women, black and white and Hispanic and Native American. We can open more doors for anyone, no matter what your gender happens to be, no matter what your sexual persuasion happens to be, no matter what your religious belief is, because we're about fairness and equality. But I want to say this because it's so important to me. If you are a multi-million-dollar athlete and you're too scared to make a difference, the way Adam Silver just did for the NBA, then ask your kids to stand up and speak for what's going to make life better for them. Some of us are too afraid. We're thinking we're going to lose our $1 million endorsements. Okay, we're more important. We're more concerned about keeping the endorsement, Big C, than making things fair. Do you think Adam Silver pleased everybody in Carolina when he came out and said, we don't want to support discrimination? Dean Smith did that back in the day when some of his black athletes could not rent hotels. And he said, if the black players can't come, then none of us will come. Adam Silver just became Dean Smith today, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
No, he became Steve Smith. Dean Smith a couple of years ago. He's been the most activist commissioner in the history of professional sports. If you recall what he did to Donald Sterling for his racial epithets and chants.
Oh, yeah. Clippers. That's right.
He forced him out of the league.
Yeah.
Donald Sterling has taken the greatest stance of any commissioner in professional sports history.
Yeah.
Now he's removed an all-star game from a city.
Yeah.
No other commissioner who has had the opportunity to do these things for social injustice have said a word about it. They've all sit back and be quiet.
Because they're good old boys. They benefit from it. Yeah.
Donald Sterling, took a hit.
Yeah.
A huge hit. Adam Silver said, we cannot have intolerance in this country.
Yeah.
Through sports, social activism, politics.
Yeah.
Adam Silver, beyond President Obama, has been the most activist person in America in the last 2 years.
Well,
you have to look at what he has done as a commissioner and do nothing but praise him and wonder why the rest of the commissioners, Charlton, are so fearful.
Because they don't have the balls. And this is what I also want to say, that this final segment is sponsored by One Life America and Life Insurance. I'm a broker with One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. I'm also looking to hire 1,000 brokers who want to go to work. Just contact Charlton and Big C Sports through Twitter or also Facebook. I'm also launching a social media campaign that will begin next week. It will reach everyone in the world to let them know about the presence of Charlton and Big C Sports. And we're also working with G5 Textiles. If you are a sports team anywhere on the planet, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Africa, South America, North America, the United States, if you have uniforms, whether you're at the elementary level, the high school level, college or professional level, we can make your uniforms. We can also put your numbers, your names. We can personalize your uniform. You get that through Charlton and Big C Sports. For every sale that we make worldwide, my hope is that we can make a contribution to inner city schools to help get them computers, to help them learn math and science and eradicate poverty, not only in the United States, but worldwide. So when you're looking for a uniform, whether you're the Orlando Magic, the Dallas Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers, or you happen to be the Chicago Bulls, Boston Celtics, it doesn't matter who you are. I want you to tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports. You can follow on social media. You can order that worldwide, and that's coming up next week before the end of this month. So not only will Charlton and Big C Sports be the hottest growing sports show in the United States of America, we're going to be the most philanthropic as well. And I'm also asking Phil Knight, because you always say just do it, I'm asking you for $1 million donation to Charlton and Big C Sports, because we're the only show out there with a social consciousness, Big C. And I want to get your thoughts on what that means, Big C, more than just reading the scores.
Well, social consciousness, Charlton, and the commissioner of the NBA is the forefront leader in that right now, as we've seen through his actions. But, I challenge the owners, Charlton, and the other commissioners to be that way. Stop calling upon the athletes saying it's their job.
Yeah.
They have a job. Their job is to work for the guy who owns them, technically, the guy who is writing their paycheck.
Yeah.
That's their job. They're only vehicles for this man. This man has all the power. But, let's let some of these owners in all the major sports step up to the forefront. Let these let our players go out as long as there's a social injustice in the city. Charlton, they will never do that because there's too much money involved in that. And they're not willing to lose a payday for social justice in America, Charlton.
Well, I'm telling you, Big C, it's about leadership. I think it was Lee Iacocca that said either lead, follow, or get out of the way. And that's so important because we know a lot of people, they don't have leadership mentality. They're afraid. They're looking for someone else to open the door for them. And I just want to say this, too, because I believe that we can connect the world if we all want to treat people fair. I want to create opportunity for people. All people, black, white, Latin American, Mexican American, doesn't matter to me. I want young kids to have hope again. I want them to dream again. Unlike that Republican speech that I heard last night, and I voted Democrat and Republican over the years, I heard such a depressed speech about how America's bad. It's not a bad place. I'm a black man saying that America's a great opportunity. If you're given equal opportunity, it's great. If you don't feel you're given opportunity, go take your own opportunity. So that's why I'm even asking people like Warren Buffett to reach out to Charlton and Big C Sports. I'm asking Bill Gates to reach out to Charlton and Big C Sports. And I'm not saying it just because of us. I'm saying you're already sponsoring programs that have no character. They're sycophants to media. They won't tell you the truth. You can't tell me that we're not speaking real talk. We talk about what's going to affect the generations of people, of Americans, even after we're gone. And I think there needs to be more socially conscious sports shows. I was talking to one of the hottest actresses in the United States just the other day. Her name is Dory Romano. And she's a gorgeous actress. She's very intelligent. And you'll be hearing more about her in the Hollywood motion pictures. But she was talking about how Hollywood and sports is the same because people have to compete for what they want. And with the Charlton and Big C Sports, Big C, I'll give you the last minute here. We want to compete for your advertising dollars. So if you're Bill Gates or Donald Trump or whoever, Phil Knight, measure our show and its social consciousness because Adam Silver just sounded like Charlton and Big C Sports today. You can also donate $1 million to what we're doing because we're going to help give that money to the inner city programs to help them build up their financial statements. Big C, your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, I look at where we are in this picture of the sports and social world, and they're synonymous with each other because the stance that the commissioner made today was a social stance. The game's always played, when you watch the sports shows and you listen to the scores being looped every 30 minutes, Charlton, there's nothing new. Matter of fact, that shows you how hollow the platforms are, is that every 30 minutes is looped. You record 30 minutes, you walk away because you have nothing of interest to give to the listening public.
Yeah.
That's the sad part about it. When you have an entire day and a platform of things to bring to the public's attention, but you choose not to.
Yes.
Because you feel that your program should not assist Americans, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong. You got the most popular entity in America, Charlton, sports.
Yes.
Utilize it for social awareness, to help those that are impoverished, those that are suffering on both sides of the law, Charlton. This is what we have to do in America.
I agree with that, Big C. And also I want you all to know that we're creating the Charlton and Big C paraphernalia. You can buy hats and T-shirts and other sporting goods that we'll be having out by the holiday season on Charlton and Big C Sports. I'm launching a social media platform that is worldwide. You can buy anything online that's sports related through Charlton and Big C Sports. That's going to hit before the end of this month. And a percentage of our proceeds will go out to help end some of the poverty that's hitting the inner city schools. Whether you're a poor white rural community or inner city communities, I want to make sure that we're a social advocate. I want to be like Ali. I want to use whatever platform that we have to reach out to people, to give you more than just a score. If you tune in for just a score, then I'm sorry, we're not just going to be that. We'll do some of that too. But I want people to understand you can be whatever you want to be in this world. You just got to put your heart and soul and your work behind it. So again, I want to say thank you so much, iHeartRadio. We'll come to you Monday through Friday, worldwide, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Charlton and Big C Sports. And we're going to keep it real, Big C. Big talk and real talk for all the people who love sports and entertainment. Please follow Charlton and Big C Sports on Twitter and Facebook. And based on that, I'm going to tell you that we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.